This one's wife. Her huge tantrums. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Tantrums. Usually associated with toddlers when they don't get their own way. The foot is stomped, the chubby little face is wrinkled up, cheeks reddening, tears appear. Invariably, the proponent of the tantrum throws themselves on the floor, legs kicking, arms flailing, wailing, filling the air like the portent of nuclear Armageddon. Many of you will have witnessed a toddler having a tantrum, but also those of you that have been involved with a narcissist will have witnessed certain of those narcissists behaving in a similar way. And this is one of the allegations that is made against this one's wife. And once again, by understanding the way that a narcissist behaves, we are able to ascertain the veracity of the information. A post on Saint This One's Wife, they use her full name, as you know, I do not, by Intelligent Owl 8629, posts something that appeared on X by somebody called Royally Sage. Wait, they wrote, Harry's wife really does throw herself to the floor in tears when she has tantrums. I thought that was just exaggeration for emotional manipulation. She really does it. And then there is a source provided, although what it actually is not detailed, that states, I'm told her tantrums give 3-year-olds a run for their money. I've heard and 100% believe that there's literal, wordless screaming, yelling, crying, oh, so much crying, and blame flung on everyone except herself. She falls on the floor, stamps her feet, and bangs on furniture with her arms. It's something you can't believe you're seeing from an adult. Some Netflix crew who followed them for the Crocu series said she does all of this and she is violent towards Harry. She's allegedly hit, pushed, and bit him. He's got a bad temper himself, so if she's been violent towards him, I've not heard whether he's violent back, though it wouldn't surprise me. However, those Netflix crew members said that his modus operandi was to cower, to ask if he's not good enough for her anymore, etc. Now, you can make a determination as to this unattributed source's veracity, but let's analyse this vis-à-vis what we know about the way that a mid-range narcissist such as this one's wife would indeed behave. As a narcissist, this one's wife is hypersensitive to any threat to her control. A threat to control can mean something so simple as Harry not making her a cup of green tea. Somebody explaining that she looks like a bag lady when she dresses. An article espousing the demure glamour and elegance of the nemesis. Many things will set this one's wife off as threats to her need for control. And her self-defense mechanism is her narcissism. Her narcissism tells her that she is amazing, that she is brilliant, that she is the main character, that she is the center of the universe, and that means that everybody should acknowledge her greatness by kowtowing, by bowing and scraping and giving her what she wants, giving her money for nothing, allowing her to sit where she wants, to talk when she wants, giving her the microphone when she appears. It also tells her that anybody that suggests something to the contrary with regard to her overall greatness clearly is somebody that is a problem. And her narcissism makes her respond in a way that seeks to assert control, nullify threats to control, and draw fuel. The main way that it does this is through the ignition of fury. Now, she's a mid-range narcissist, which means that largely she behaves in a passive-aggressive way, particularly because she operates a facade. Her facade to the outside world is of a kind-natured, empathic individual that loves doing nice things for people, that is philanthropic, caring, and charitable. Behind closed doors, however, heated fury can appear, and this heated fury would result in a temper tantrum, where she would shout, and that she would scream, and that she would yell, and that she would cry. As a mid-range narcissist, she uses plenty of pity plays, turning on the waterworks. And in order to compel an immediate response from those witnessing it, normally Harry, it would mean that it would be ramped up to 11. That there would be this shouting and the screaming and the yelling and the crying and the tears, flinging herself to the floor like a toddler, unable to regulate their emotions, bashing herself against furniture. I know of one mid-range narcissist whose particular modus operandi, although she was upper mid-range, was to smash her forehead against a door frame when things wouldn't go her way, to the extent that she would regularly need to be attending hospital in order to have the injury stitched up. She would bash her head against the doorframe and then fling herself to the floor, often hurting herself. Such was the extent to which she would do so, leaving her husband to then try and pacify her, placate her, which of course showed that he was coming under control and his responses were providing her with fuel. Similarly, the way that Harry would cower would be symptomatic of the victim of the narcissist, whereby he is genuinely afraid of this eruption of ignited fury, that her narcissism allows it to come to the fore because that's what's needed to get Harry under control and to cause him to agree with her to nullify threats to control posed by third parties. Now, you may be interested to consider the point about, but what about doing it in front of the Netflix crew members, if, for example, that information is correct? Surely her facade management would try and keep that covered up. The short answer is yes, it would. But remember, her facade management is not the best in the world. We've seen numerous instances where it's become fractured and it's placed under strain. We've seen the chin jutting, the jaw clenching, the sudden death stare appearing and so forth, the rapid blinking where she's experiencing anxiety. It also follows that whilst her facade management would want to keep this ignited fury under check and under wraps, sometimes it just can't do it. It just doesn't have the capability to keep the ignited fury under control, so it bursts through. And thus, the unedifying spectacle of a woman in her 40s throwing herself to the floor, banging against furniture, shrieking and yelling, is not only witnessed by hapless Harry, but also by other individuals. This is because the facade management is secondary to the need for control, and where the threat to control is so great, the heated fury ignites that is so great, the facade management shatters. In that instance, you witness this full-on meltdown by her. Thus, it's entirely conceivable that in certain situations, particular threats to control have such an impact upon her that this level of ignited fury comes through. You're unlikely to see it in a very public situation because that's more likely to be reported on and to be seen by more people, meaning the facade management works harder. But behind closed doors, Harry will be regularly subjected to tantrums when there's nobody else around because the facade management in effect is switched off. And even where the Netflix crew members were around, it was not deemed sufficient of the facade to try and keep it under control. It was unable to do so. Such was the extent of the ignited fury. This is all done because her ignited fury responds to the threat to control. It's an instinctive response. She doesn't think to herself, I'm now going to throw a tantrum so I get everybody's attention. It just happens. And it's a natural event. If you'd like to understand more about why this happens in greater detail, read my book, fury. If you want to see instances of where ignited fury comes to the fore, go to my Watch the Narcissus in Action series, and you'll see more instances of this happening in a way that's similar to the way that this one's wife behaves. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.